welcome to another episode of Lifting Lowdown, a new podcast brought to you by Lift and Hoist International. My name is Guy Harris and I am the publisher of LHI, the magazine servicing the global industrial lifting sector. This is where I invite people from the industry in joining me to cut through the formality and discuss topics in a relaxed and friendly manner. Allow me to introduce my guests. I am very happy to welcome back Richard Howes. Rich is a director of Bridger Howes, a niche PR consultancy with a client base in the lifting and material handling sectors. After working as a sports journalist, he entered the lifting business in 2005 as a member of an editorial team for a crane magazine. He has gone on to edit a number of industrial related titles before he made the leap into business ownership in 2014. Ross Moloney is the Chief Executive of the Lifting Equipment Engineers Association. Beginning as an academic at Birmingham and Nottingham universities, Ross was recruited into the UK Civil Service, where he worked on developing policy to improve UK productivity and competitiveness with a particular focus on vocational skills. He is a passionate advocate of the transformative nature of education and skills. Ross believes that trade associations have a crucial role to play in modern economies and is sure that his beloved Nottingham Forest will one day return to the English Premier League. Well, as our listeners will know, this podcast does not take the format of a straightforward interview, but allows key industry players to openly discuss topics. And with just 2 days to go until the launch of GLAD2020, that's Global Lifting Awareness Day, an appreciation day for the international lifting sector, launched by the Lifting Equipment Engineers Association and supported by key industry partners Bridger Howes and Lift and Hoist International, we thought it a good opportunity to discuss the whys and whereas of this new initiative. So, welcome to Lifting Lowdown, guys.
Hello.
Thanks again, Guy. Good to be here.
Well, I should really say welcome back, Rich, and thanks for joining us, Ross. Looking forward to our chat today. If you don't mind, I'm going to start with you, Ross, and play a little bit of devil's advocate here, I guess. Why does our industry need an awareness day?
All right. Well, that's a heavy-hitting question to start off with, Guy.
Well, there you go.
I'm glad I'm here. So this is, let me tell you my personal experience and why I think it's relevant. So before I joined Lear, I was a chief executive of a similar organisation in the logistics sector, so a government agency that looked after 2.2 million employees and 185,000 employers. And we were involved in distributing government funds and coming up with new initiatives that supported the logistics sector, which at the time was the third or fourth biggest employing sector.
Okay.
And I'd never heard of the lifting equipment sector. And I was heading up an important organisation in logistics. And then my personal career, I ran my own little agency, and then the headhunter got in touch and started talking about lifting equipment. And I had no idea. And they actually said to me, but you've got a logistics background. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But I was just not cognizant, not aware of the integral role that fighting gravity plays in our everyday life. And so if that was where I was as an outsider, that's where everybody that's outside of our sector really is. They fail to appreciate that everyday life is delivered and is delivered safely by the design work that goes on in our sector, by the manufacture that goes on, by the inspections that goes on. And I just thought, how we avoid becoming this Cinderella industry that is always in the background and therefore is undervalued and therefore is involved in a race to the bottom. How can we bring forward and to the fore the real contribution that we make as a sector? And so that's really where I come from in this. It's about bringing to the awareness of people not in the industry how important our industry is.
Well, that's a fair comment, and especially as the logistics industry is synonymous with the lifting industry in many ways. I mean, obviously, Rich, you've been in this great industry for probably over 15 years now, have you not?
Yeah, about that, Guy, exactly. I think there's two types of people you typically speak to in this business, isn't there? There's the guys who've inherited companies or jobs from fathers and grandfathers, and it's under their skin, it's in their blood, and it's kind of all they've ever known. And then there's people like us who kind of found ourselves here, and the way that story tends to go is, I stumbled into this industry. I didn't know much about it. It was probably a stopgap, and yet I've never left. So they're kind of the two different stories you come across, and absolutely, when I got an opportunity on a crane magazine, that was my first kind of role in the lifting business. I didn't even think there was a market for trade magazines about this equipment, let alone enough of a market for there to be ferociously competing media companies, conferences, all manner of debate and purchasing that needed very robust media to cover it and hold it to account. Actually, that was very surprising. But yeah, I mean, here I am, and I've even sort of been involved in the startup of a business which could have gone in any direction, and yet it's decided to put its roots and build foundations in the lifting sector, which says a lot about our challenge and our opportunity, actually.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, I'd like to take up one of the points that you mentioned there, Rich, about the competitiveness of not just the lifting sector, but also the publishing sector. And what I would like to do is, in fact, recognise all of the associations and particularly the magazines, the publishing groups out there that have jumped on board and supported this initiative. It's wonderful to think and know, in fact, that people have all come together and come behind this great initiative and awareness day. So a big personal thank you from me. So guys, I mean, how can people get involved, and what can they do to both represent their company as well as support GLAD?
I think you've touched upon an interesting thing there, Guy, in that's going to be a big challenge, particularly on Thursday as we look at this, and it's going to be a big acid test of this industry's ability, and particularly its company owners and its marketeers, to actually come together and promote a collective cause, because it's too competitive at times, and people are far too obsessed with what they're doing versus the bigger picture. I'm a marketing professional myself, and as a PR guy, I spend a lot of my time pushing brands and particular initiatives over others. But that's got to be done authentically and actually away from this whole GLAD thing. And I mean, I've already seen a couple of sort of not alarming, but a couple of tweets that have raised a little bit of a red flag, and that they've kind of said, this is we're supporting GLAD, by the way, this is what we do and why we're good. And that second bit's completely irrelevant to this. We don't need to know why your slings, shackles, hooks, cranes are better than your competitors at this point, even if they are. This is about coming together, and I think that's going to be a challenge for this sector, and I'm certainly very interested to see how that plays out on Thursday.
Okay, now for the benefit of our listeners, we can all see each other, although this goes out as an audio file, and I'm now looking at Ross smiling. So sorry to put you on the spot, Ross, but I have a feeling that you may have something to add at this point.
Yeah, when you run a trade association, you're right at the sharp end of where competition and a collegiate approach comes together. So I am absolutely aware that our 1,285 members compete with each other on a daily basis. And actually, one of the things I love about the industry is that it's so real and that it is so competitive. But I see the other side. I see 50 of the members in the UK come together and to discuss technical matters for the realization of the vision, which is reducing risk, which is that more people go home at the end of work every day. And so, as Richard was talking about, you know, the competition in the industry, I'm like, yeah, I totally get that. And there are times when, you know, people get in touch with me and just remind me that I'm running an association, and I'm like, yep, I know that. And I mean, even on the board, I've got board members that compete with each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they are on each other's Christmas card lists or not, but I see them come together and actually they manage to put aside what they're doing on a daily basis and come together for the good of the association. So yeah, it is one of the things I've picked up in the last couple of years is how competitive this industry is. You know, it's there's a lot of proper businessmen and proper businesswomen that are out there that you know, I'm glad I'm friends with.
Yeah, I mean, so are we holding people to account here? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, are you going to be, you know, conspicuous by your absence if you don't support GLAD?
Hope so. Yeah, let's guilt people into getting involved. I like that. I like a bit of that. Yeah. Oh, look, I've been out there. Why is GLAD happening? I've got four things that I hope we'll achieve. I hope that we will raise awareness of the sector so that recruitment will be easier. So we'll have the next generation of kids that are doing apprenticeships or looking at engineering degrees. We'll see ours as an attractive pathway. I'm hoping that end users will be aware of and remember the fact that actually high quality really matters. And this is a sector that largely you get what you pay for. So avoid the race to the bottom. Thirdly, I'm hoping that, going right back to the start, Guy, that stakeholders and government officials are aware of us. That they
Sure.
realize that we are a fundamental part of the engineering sector, but a fundamental part of all the supply chains that get celebrated. And then finally, this is a chance for us to put forward what we've done in the COVID-19 response. The fact that Nightingale Hospital was built in a week. Yeah, it's great that so many great construction firms were involved, but it's only because of firms in our sector that stuff like that could happen. So why would you not get involved? You know, if you turn the argument around, why would you not want to be part of that?
Well, that's very true. And from a personal perspective, I was hugely heartened by some of the stories that were coming out at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic and how lifting applications were involved with these temporary hospitals. You know, for example, hoists that were normally used in the entertainment sector being used to help create these temporary hospitals and take the massive influx that we were receiving in the UK, but elsewhere in the world, of course. So, Rich, just in case people are in doubt how they can get involved, can you explain a little bit about what Bridget Howes will be doing on the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the focal point for this and the barometer that we're going to use to measure its success, like so many awareness days, is on social media, isn't it? So the GLAD2020 hashtag is really the kind of the label that's going to be put on everything that's done in relation to this day, and you know, whether that be polls or videos, interviews, pictures, whatever it is. So we're kind of working with our portfolio of clients to make sure that they have a voice in this, but an authentic voice. And they're seen to be promoting the industry and lifting and all the good things that you're talking about. Everything around us, particularly when we're out and about, has been lifted and moved to some extent. All our food, and you made the entertainment industry reference there, which is a great example of, you know, a behind the curtain, above the scenes of any production. Okay, perhaps not the best example at the moment, but there's, you know, hundreds, thousands sometimes of pick points and hoists and rigging and shackles and hooks that go into people's safety. So we're making sure that everyone puts their hand up and says, first and foremost, we care about this industry. We care about the impact it has on safety and productivity and societies, and we're going to put that before what the components and the actual products that we're providing to that end. This is a collective global thing to promote lifting.
Sure, sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, LHI will be putting out a lot of content, and I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing what companies put out. It's a great opportunity to maybe be humorous with this, but I think we could really flood the social media network with some great content, and obviously that's the end game, is to get it trending, and maybe we'll speak a little bit about that in a short while. So, Ross, what's Leah doing on the day?
So, we will be attacking social media hard. So I've got my team have made some films about what they do, and that includes things that they are glad about. I'm also giving them a magic wand and asking them to talk about what they'd like to change in the industry. So what would be, what's better? What can we make better? Because I think, and that's really important to remember this dynamic of the industry, that the finishing line in safety always moves in our industry. Because in 1944, when Leah was established, the challenges that those guys had are different from the ones that we have now, because we lift higher, we move out further, we go down deeper, we go to more inclement places. We go to oceans that we thought were impossible to navigate. And so this finishing line is forever moving. So it's all about new solutions. It's about innovation. And that's one of the things I think is really important as an outsider, as a newbie coming into the industry, that this is an industry that is absolutely full of innovation that gets used every day. We're not generating stuff in science labs that will never see the light of day. We are coming up with innovations that are needed, if not tomorrow, then yesterday on occasion. And I love that about the industry. I love that it's real and that it's vibrant and it's tangible. And I just love the word that Rich is using. I love the authenticity of the industry. And I really hope that that comes across in what we're doing. And so we're deliberately going to be targeting the next generation. We're going to be engaging with potential military leavers. We're going to say, don't retrain to be a plumber. Bring your skills and experience to our industry. And we're going to be pushing this message that this is a high value profession. This is not something that you should accidentally fall into, or it's one of those industries that you should stay away from. This is an engineering profession with an amazing pathway for the rest of your life, where you be wanted, loved, adored, and welcomed with open arms. And in the time that we're in at the moment, we're making clear that this is an industry that is full of diversity. It does not matter where you come from. We'll show you where we think you can go if you join this.
That's an interesting point, and I love that that sense of inclusion. I mean, I guess without wanting to get too political, you're referring to the Black Lives Matters movement and what's going on around the world at the moment, and the fact that the lifting industry is or should be all inclusive.
Well, and here's a real, yes, of course I am, but also I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and they ran an engineering day at her school. She was one of 2 girls that went on the engineering day.
Okay.
That was out of nearly 200.
That says everything.
I just think we're still got that in 2020. So that's still something that we should be looking to address.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the last podcast, Rich had the last word, and I think you rather succinctly, unlike you, indeed, Rich, but you had the last word, and you really succinctly sort of presented the lifting industry, and I would like you just to recap that, if you don't mind, the fact that it is literally everywhere.
Yeah, I don't remember word for word what I said. I do remember in closing talking about the opportunity that we can't waste, and I think how we can put people off and we can get this wrong. So let's be positive about it. But for goodness sake, let's not mess this up. And particularly if we're introducing ourselves to new people, particularly in end user markets, let's not let them see a load of adverts presenting 5 hoists, which essentially are the same, and 5 different companies saying that each one is the best and does something completely different. So I think absolutely let's take this opportunity and let's not mess it up. just to pick up on what Ross said there about my stepdaughter's 16 years old at a similar stage of academic studies, and she's had some dreadful speeches, box ticking speeches, have come into the school to tick the box and say, look, we're trying to promote, it's an all girls school.
Okay.
So they're talking about, look, let's absolutely expose them to engineering careers and that kind of thing. And what she's told me about, admittedly, I haven't been there, but from what she's told me about them, and she's studious and bright. She didn't just say, oh, it was a waste of time, it was boring, I didn't like the person's shoes. But what she said, the content was just dreadful, and the teachers weren't interested in pushing it. It was simply about go to this website and Google engineering for girls or whatever. And it wasn't done with sincerity or authenticity or passion. And that's the bit that we've got to make sure that we get right on Thursday, to make sure that we can carry this initiative forward and actually engage people who they have lots of choice, and there's lots of industries that are presented, sadly, better than ours. And that's the challenge that we've got to meet head on, and the battle that we've got to win.
You see, I love that, because in my eyes, lifting affects everybody, all walks of life, all industries. Therefore, why shouldn't lifting as an industry be for everybody?
100%. It's. I mean, some of the stuff that I used to be a sports hack, and that was my dream job at the outset, and that was fun and had some good times with it. But you can kind of win, lose, or draw in sport. There's even from a content point of view, there's so much more breadth about this. And I've written about some incredible stuff. I've interviewed some amazing, interesting, fascinating people who live, you guys, your Think Lifting project, and looking at the rockets that have been sent to the moon. People have been sent, miles underground, and just incredible ingenuity and projects. This industry's sent people all over the world. I know people who've set up home in far-flung places they've never heard of. They've made friends for life. This is a massively underrated sector. I was lucky to find myself in it. I don't ever see myself leaving it, quite frankly.
That's interesting to hear.
And we've got to really harness all of that. I'm not the only person who thinks that. And I know a lot of these marketing professionals in this sector, they're really, really dynamic and feel the same way. And then I see their marketing message and I think, well, why have you done that? You've said your hoist is the best thing since sliced bread, and you could have done so much more to actually engage, your target audience, but the broader, capture the broader message here and try and sell your sector, and let's all rise together. There's so much sort of battling way down, in the trenches here, when we could be raising the profile of this industry so much better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully then GLAD is the perfect opportunity or the platform to put any of those differences aside, if there are indeed differences, and come together as a sector. So Ross, I know that Leah have some giveaways planned on the day. Can we speak about those and give people the heads up?
Yeah. So there's nothing, so there's no Bentleys being given away.
Oh, that's a shame.
But we've got two ideas. So for members on LinkedIn, the 5 best social media posts on LinkedIn are chosen by me. So it'll be according to my sense of judgment. The 5 best will be able to have a free online bit of training or a free Zoom delivered bit of training. So that's about £300.
Okay.
Leah will give out 5 of those. And then for non-members on Twitter, we'll be sending out part of our Leah library. So you can choose what you want, whether it be some capsules or guidance documents, or whatever. I've suggested that the 3 of us can autograph those publications. But Back at the Lear Ranch, there wasn't a lot of love for that idea.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to raise the game much, if I'm honest with you. But
But you know, but just carry on from something Rich was saying. So when I was talking to, so before COVID, so assuming that COVID-19 is a different world, and you know, managing directors are looking at the world differently than they were in January, for instance. Something that you could get them all to agree on in January was, you know, what are the 5 top things that keep you awake at night? And recruitment was always in that top 5. Where's the next generation of the workforce going to come from? Because ours is an engineering sector that has all of the challenges of other engineering sectors, apart from the fact that we are not the glamorous Formula One engineering or aeronautical engineering. We've got to accept that we are in the bottom half of glamour when it comes to engineering sectors. And so asking the industry to come together to self-promote and self-publicize it itself in relation to how to make this sector look more attractive, I don't think is the wrong thing to be doing. I think that this is something that the sector can work cooperatively on. And some of the stuff I'm seeing, it looks like that's happening. You know,
I would agree.
You Google GLAD2020, there is a momentum. You go on LinkedIn, you go on Twitter, and I'm really, if I'd say what my ambition would be for GLAD2020, it would be that, you know, the point about the dreadful careers advice, I think that's just, it's almost a statement of fact at the moment. With schools funding changing, it's just fallen down the agenda in terms of importance. So I think this is an opportunity for our industry to put a flag in the ground and to really take a big sort of collective leap forward in making aware what we do and the incredible opportunities, whether if you want to travel, come and work in our sector. If you want to be innovative, come and work in our sector. I can't think of many ambitions that aren't fulfillable within the lifting sector. And I think it's a chance for us to bring that to common awareness.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you there, Ross. So, I mean, we can stand here today and say that there's definitely going to be GLAD 2021, and it's now an annual event and something you should put in your annual calendars, correct?
Correct, from our point of view, yeah. I mean, you know, with the world the way it is, we totally get that GLAD 2020, you know, there's going to be a lot of marketing people on furlough. There's going to be lots of teams that are concentrating on other things. And so we recognize where we are in 2020. I mean, there will definitely be some people that think, you know, what are Leah et al. Doing? But I think this is too important for us to postpone. I think this is a really important first step. And as Rich is saying, I just don't think we should screw it up. I think it's really important that we hit this hard as a collective.
So I think this is a good chance as well, I think, just to punctuate the kind of the one-track news we have at the moment. And I've really sensed that from marketing people as well, that this is the first thing that they've actually had to sink their teeth into for some months. And I think we really need to take that opportunity. You wouldn't necessarily choose it as a launch platform, would you? If you had the first meeting of this in mid-March, you wouldn't have said, let's do this in July, let's face facts. But no, 100% is the right thing to go ahead with. We're not going to hit our end goals on Thursday, and we're not trying to. It's a long-term thing, but I'm really sensing the positive energy around having something really long-term and exciting to focus on for the first time in a little while.
I get that sense as well, Rich, and I'm really pleased to see as you said, Ross, you Google the hashtag GLAD 2020 and you get over 4 pages of content on Google. And if you look on LinkedIn, I think the last time I did, it was 48 pages of references to GLAD. I mean, it does feel that the industry's really got behind it, and it's hugely encouraging. Just back to you, Rich, as the marketeer in the room, obviously one of the end goals of GLAD 2020 is for it to trend on social media. How do we go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a kind of, that would be the golden ticket, wouldn't it? That would be a magical takeaway to have from it. I wouldn't necessarily say it should be our focus, however, because I think that kind of becomes a quantity goal, and I wouldn't want to set that for people. Let's just get it right. Let's make it qualitative. Let's do loads of it. Yes, let's put lots of different activity out there. Tailor the content for the platform that you're on. There's different platforms for different types of media. There's different audiences hanging about in different places, and that's a podcast in its own right. So let's not go there. But my point being, make the content worthwhile, make it authentic, make it about the mission of the day, not your company.
Sure.
Make it as live as possible. Yeah, so you're going to have to do a bit of scheduling if you're at a big company spread across a lot of platforms. You're going to have to plan your interviews. As Ross was saying, Leah have got their videos all stacked up, ready to go. But this is about getting up early Thursday. It's about having lots of coffee, and it's about putting a lot of energy into this and interacting live. Share people's content. Don't worry about who's competing with who. It's not about that. There's a bigger picture here. And make sure that people who are new to this industry look at what we're doing, look at the GLAD hashtag, and think, yeah, okay, I want to tell my kids about this industry. I want to look at this industry. We've got to put it in a positive light. So that's how we get it trending. That's how we make it popular. It's about the quality of what we do on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something that you mentioned there, Rich, which I think is well worth pointing out again, is go live. Go live on Instagram, go live on LinkedIn, go live on Facebook. Because when you do, all of your company's followers are instantly notified of that. So it constantly puts the GLAD message in front of this audience, and hopefully then, yeah, they not only sign in and watch the videos, the live content, but they reshare and comment too. And I know, Ross, that you're planning to put out a live presentation on the day as well, aren't you?
Yep, definitely. 3:00 we'll be going live. Not chosen the medium for that yet, but 3:00 we will be going live from Leah HQ in Huntington.
Okay, well, guys, get your coffee percolators on the go. It's gonna start early for us because it's not just Lift and Hoist International that's supporting GLAD. It's also Lift and Hoist Australasia. So that means things kind of kick off at 11 p.m. on the Wednesday night for me, and then I'll be going all the way through to the following day. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty heavy schedule, but one I'm really, really looking forward to. I think we've covered most things, unless there's anything you want to add, guys.
No, I'm really excited about it. I think this is something that is indicative of a modern, mature industry, and I'm really excited that this is going to be a big step forward for us.
I agree, and I share that excitement too. Rich?
Yeah, no, it's all been said. So let's show a bias to brevity here, but let's get it right. Let's flood the marketplace with content, but let's not make any silly mistakes.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you guys for joining me today, coming on Lifting Lowdown, and I wish you both and the entire industry a great GLAD on the 9th of July. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, lads. Bye. So we've come to the end of another edition of Lifting Lowdown. I hope you enjoyed it. A big thank you to Ross and Rich for taking the time to explain Global Lifting Awareness Day and its importance, as well as how your company can be involved. Both are great supporters of and ambassadors to our industry. I hope it gave you food for thought and encouraged you to get behind GLAD2020. Feel free to leave comments or pose any questions for me and our guests. Your feedback and suggestions for future editions will enable us to make this podcast even more relevant and interesting. You can keep up to date with the latest industry news by visiting LHI's website, liftandhoist.com. Thank you for listening, and look out for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Until then, stay safe.